Welcome to a particularly rushed version of the BallsTalkSports NFL podcast. I am leaving tomorrow. I am headed out of Tulsa. It's going to be a 9-hour drive, probably going to be driving into the AM hours of the morning in a packed van. There's supposed to be severe weather on the way as well, so we're looking forward to that, but I cannot leave TU without finishing off the series. It is the North Division draft grades. The draft has been over for a long time. I'm ready to have these done with and move into our summer repertoire. Victor, year's winding down. How are we feeling today?
We're feeling good. It is bittersweet that this is the last episode with good audio quality for a few months, but it's okay. We've got some good stuff planned after the draft grades, but yeah, without good audio quality, I don't know how I'm going to feel about it.
Hey, I have a microphone that works sometimes.
There you go.
See, I don't know if anybody else has had this issue, but what happens is when I plug it into the USB port, it always says that my computer didn't recognize the audio device and it turns on and off spontaneously. And half the time I'll do a full episode of a podcast thinking I was recording on the mic, and then I go back and listen to it and it's like, no, how naive of me. I sound like ass, more so than usual.
We'll figure it out. We'll get some good running. So we got the cool episodes we have planned aren't marred by the bad audio quality. But I'm excited. The final draft grades episode, we're here. Draft season is almost over.
And this is going to be a fun one to talk out as well. I wouldn't want the series going down any other way. We've got some great drafts. We have some bad drafts. NFC North, all of it.
Was rough.
And because we want to save the best for last, that's where we're going to start, is with the NFC North. Chicago Bears?
The Bears, yes. Sorry, I don't have theirs pulled up.
No problem.
Yeah, so the Bears, interesting draft because they start off with getting two weapons in Colston Loveland and Luther Burden.
Do you want me to read off the draft listing?
Oh, yeah, you can do that.
The Chicago Bears took Colston Loveland as tight end 1 at pick number 10, then Luther Burden, back-to-back playmakers at number 39, and with their two other second-round picks, Ozzie Trapillo and Shamar Turner. Then in the 4th, Ruben Hippolyte, the linebacker out of Maryland, Zoff Frazier from UTSA, Luke Newman, and finally Kyle Monungai. I know you like Colston Loveland.
Yeah.
What do you think of this pick?
Well, I gave it a B because I think it makes sense as far as the actual fit. Player makes sense. I think Ben Johnson definitely fits his type in that Laporta mold. I think Laporta is a little bit better of a blocker right now and coming out of Iowa, but I think Loveland can get to that Laporta level of blocking. I do think he has it in him. But really, they're just going to use him as a receiving threat. He can play pretty much anywhere on the field, in line, in the slot, at the X. I mean, he's just a really good receiver, very good athlete. Really not many marks on his game as a receiver. Really, the only thing people will bring up is the blocking. The only reason why this pick is a little sour is because it's high to take Colston Loveland, just the player, and it also you took him over Tyler Warren, who I think is a better player by not a significant amount, but enough where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to dock you a little bit just because you did pass on someone as good as Tyler Warren. But it's a good pick, and considering the value there, I don't know if there's many other picks I would have made over Loveland other than Tyler Warren. So I like this pick. I love this fit. I get why they did it. Just a little high.
I want to like this pick because I love Colston Loveland, the football player. I think we agree on that. However, I think it's pretty terrible because I think that the only thing you're getting out of this pick is a good football player that you know how to use. I think as far as positional need, questionable. I don't think the value's good. We all know the mediocre hit rate on first-round tight ends, and to go after one at pick number 10, especially when it's not the consensus number 1 guy, I understand why they would prefer Loveland over Warren in a vacuum, but at that spot for that valuation, and then we're going to get into this with the Luther Burden pick a little bit, they're starting to rack up a lot of mouths to feed for Caleb Williams headed into year 2. I just think it was a deeply questionable use of resources here.
Yeah, I think I would like this pick a little bit more if they hadn't spent the next one on Burden. I really needed them to not spend the first 3 picks on offense. They needed to invest in defense heavily this year, and they didn't, which is very confusing. Mikael Williams was still on the board. That would have probably been a little bit of a better pick, in my opinion. But I can't fault you because it's not like the defensive talent was screaming at you. No, I didn't have anybody that much higher than Colston Loveland on my board, any defensive players, and you weren't going to take Will Johnson because he was slipping. So I don't know. I'm not going to fault them too much for this pick because you take a good football player who fits well. There is nothing bad about that. And I think Loveland's a guy that he can thrive in an offense with not many mouths to feed. I think he can be a really nice tight end. All right, he can be a really nice tight end who just gets 700 to 800 yards for a few seasons because there's just a lot of guys, and he'll deal with that, and he'll get really nice 700, 800 yard seasons rather than 1,200 yard seasons. So Loveland's a good pick. I don't know. It's tough to say with the value, but I'm inclined to lead towards a better pick than not. But it's not an A for a reason. They could have been better.
And then, at 39, they go with DJ Moore Jr. and Luther Burden. And at this point, look, I get it. The valuation is great. Getting Burden at 39, getting Burden anywhere outside of the first round, I think is really above average value. However, now you've got DJ Moore, and you've got Rome Odunze, and you've got Colston Loveland, who you drafted at 10 to be your move receiving tight end. And you've still got Cole Kmet, who's probably one of the 25 best tight ends in the NFL. Easily top 25 in the NFL. You can make a case he's a top half tight end in the NFL, given how that position is a little bit weaker right now. You still have DeAndre Swift in the room to be your receiving back. Caleb Williams couldn't get the ball out of his hands last year, and I don't know how much this is helping him, especially because word on the street is that at Missouri, Luther Burden got a little fussy if he didn't get the ball, and it's going to be tough to get him the ball here. I'm not going to make the name comp, but Luther Burden, I don't know. There could be some burdening of the offense going on here, and that really concerns me. Good value, don't love the process.
Yeah. I don't like the process either, but it is a really good value. I did give it a B because the value is very well. It's good. I wouldn't say it's very good. No, I mean I forget where I had him ranked. I was not a fan of him at 20 to the Broncos when everybody was talking about it that much. I had Burden at 27, so you're getting him 12 picks later than my board says he should have gone. So yeah, it's a good value, and that's why I can't hate this pick. But like you said, he might be a burden. I don't know about that. But he's a fun player, and getting Williams more help with a guy that you can just throw screens to and let him work, that's not a bad idea.
And then at 56, sticking with the offense, fascinatingly enough, there's a lot of speculation that they could go offensive tackle early, and, well, at least compared to consensus, they do take an offensive tackle early, and that is Ozzie Trapillo out of Boston College. You took Braxton Jones in the second round.
I don't think it's Braxton
Who
Jones.
you have? I know that's not literally the count,
Yeah.
but do you think he's going to be better than Braxton Jones?
I don't think he's going to be better than Braxton Jones. So that's why this pick's baffling. So why would you take somebody to be your left tackle of the future when you have a left tackle of the future on the roster who, well, you want to improve on, but then the left tackle of the future you take is probably never going to be better than him. I mean, Trapillo is he's got a great floor, good technician, and he's strong as well. But he's just not the athlete, nor he doesn't have the athleticism, he doesn't have the arm length to be that guy at the left tackle position. So this is just, I think at worst he'll be a really, really nice swing tackle for you. Nothing bad about that. In the second round it's a little early, but I'm still okay with it. He'll probably be a starter one day. I don't hate the value. I don't love it. I had a true 3 on him, so it's a little high. But for Chicago, when you desperately need a defense, I mean not desperately, but that defensive line is still not very good. And the way you patched holes with it was getting veterans who are probably not going to play for more than a year or two. Get younger guys in the building, and you don't do that with any of your 3 top 60 picks. And instead you take Ozzie Trapillo. It's not good process for me. It's a slight reach on value, and it doesn't make much sense fit-wise. Now, the scheme fits fine, but fit with Braxton Jones already there does not make much sense. I gave this a C- just because I like the player, but I don't know.
Every casual NFL fan knows that Chicago's offensive line was part of the problem last year. At some point, it just feels like you're trying to check a box, essentially. Like, was he one of the best offensive linemen remaining on the board? Sure, but the Bears need to win now. They are in a prime window with what is shaping up to be a fantastic coaching staff. Caleb Williams looking for you to jump on a rookie contract. This is a luxury pick. This is not a pick that helps them win the Super Bowl or make a deep playoff run this year, so I think we concur there.
Because that line is already a Super Bowl line at this point.
I think it's gotten there. I mean, they went out and just
Dahlman,
reshaped the entire thing.
Jones, Tooney, Dahlman, Jackson, and Wright, all starters, some of them very good starters.
Take it away on Shamar Turner. I know that that's your guy.
Yeah, we're going to... We're going to ring the bell here. I love Shamar Turner. I had a 2 through 3 on him. I'm very, very happy to see him go this high. And finally, you invest in defense. It's great. It's a little high for me, actually. It's always weird when your guy goes higher than even you thought that he should go. But honestly, it's 2 through 3. It falls right in there. He is an athletic ball of energy with an infectious motor. Like, this guy, he's the highest motor on the Texas A&M defensive line. That had a bunch of high motor guys. You know what I mean? He's 6'3", 290, but he's willing to fight people. Now, sometimes that gets him in trouble because he got a lot of 15-yard penalties, unnecessary roughnesses, taunting and shit like that. He's fighting people on the field, and I think that's more of a passion thing. I don't think it's
violent individual.
No, I think he's got a temper, but sometimes that's okay, right? And I think it's a passion thing. But you can't pull that shit in the NFL. You cannot lose that. But he's a great athlete. Both linearly and laterally. He's got really good hands. He can win a wide variety of ways. Sure, he's not the best run defender. He's 6'3", 290. But he's got long arms, so he can get out there and push guys back with strong arms. He's got good motor and strength. He's year one. He's a great designated pass rush specialist. And if you can bring along the run defender, I think, if anybody's going to get the Nnamdi Madubuike comp in this class, which everybody gives to the sub-290 interior defensive linemen, sub-300 interior defensive linemen, I think it should be Shamar Turner.
They're working with Trevon Dexter, Zach Pickens on that defensive interior. Shamar Turner may very well be their best pass rusher on day one, so it's hard to fault them for grabbing a day one impact at a position of need in the second round, even if it is a bit early. I like this pick. However, moving to Ruben Hippolyte in the fourth round,
Don't like that.
Something becomes really apparent. They didn't draft an edge rusher.
They didn't.
Not a single one. And, okay, they got Xavier Carlton as their top undrafted free agent. Athletic project, that's about all you're getting out of him, if he even makes the roster.
Who's starting?
I mean, Dio.
Oh, yeah.
As sort of their reduction edge, and then Montez Sweat, right? Is
Sweat.
There a bona fide
Sweat's
3 there, though?
No, but and Dio's barely a bona fide 2. Booker, maybe.
The guy out of Kansas last year.
Yeah, I liked him he
liked
could be
him
a
as well.
3, as a really nice 3. Didn't play too much last year, I don't believe.
Might have been hurt.
Ooh, Zach Pickett's still on the roster. He must suck. If they're taking Shamar
That
Turner.
seems to be the indication.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe they'll drop some weight on him, move him out to edge.
Possible. Well, house money at this point. You might as well.
But yeah, it's not much.
Did you see any of Ruben Hippolyte?
I didn't. In the fourth round.
Yeah.
I was very surprised to see him go because I didn't see anything. That's the one thing I need to improve about the model. If I didn't see anything of a player, it does not factor into the model. So if this is a bad fourth-round pick, which everybody seems to agree it is, then I can't. But it doesn't affect the model grade whatsoever. But that's fine because once I watch more players, then the model will be more. It just encouraged me to watch more players.
I did see some Ruben Hippolyte, and I can confirm that this is sort of an inexplicable fourth-round pick. Solid overall run defender, one of the better tacklers from what I saw in college football, has a really nice peanut punch as well. Bigger guy who can take on blocks in the box. However,
I love that guy.
As a coverage player, and this is an older guy as well, 5th, 6th year, there's just kind of nothing there. And he's a mediocre at best athlete. You know what you're getting with Hippolyte, and I thought that was more of like he was a UDFA for some team. Let me find that real quick. More like a Chandler Martin out of Memphis type impact. And Chandler Martin went undrafted. 6th, 7th round pick. It really surprised me to hear his name called in the 4th. And I don't think that they're throwing it away. I'm sure that they've heard exceptional things about his football character because even that was apparent on tape without looking into his background. It was just obvious that he's a football guy. But still, this is really poor asset allocation.
Yeah, well, from that description, it sounds like he's the heir apparent to T.J. Edwards, so it doesn't baffle. The fit makes sense. All of these, I feel like Chicago drafted well for fit, but yeah, that seems high for a guy like that.
And then Za Frazier at 169. Pretty good dart throw.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
I like
Get
him.
another guy in that secondary. Work him in there.
Tariq Woolen worked out. Why can't Za Frazier?
Where did Reek Woolen go?
Seattle?
Where did he get drafted?
Oh, 4th round, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Similar
around
stats.
here. Yeah, but he's just a size, length, speed freak. Old, hasn't done got a lot of great flashes. That's why that's 4 through 5. That's where you take the awesome athlete, the alien with flashes of great ability.
That's probably the first pick that they've made that I would give higher than a B- to. which
Yeah.
is kind of a tip-off for how I'm going to grade out
It's
this
my
draft.
highest graded pick.
And then Luke
Oh,
Newman.
actually not. Sorry.
Luke Newman in the 6th round. I mean,
Solid.
you drafted a Big Ten lineman.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? And Kyle Monungai in the 7th. All right.
There you go.
That's nice. Look, I know Monungai's not a good athlete. How do we let this happen? In the 7th? You know what you're getting. You know exactly what you are getting with Monungai. The only thing he can't do is run quickly.
Yeah. If there's a guy who loves contact more than Kyle Monungai, I definitely do not want to meet that guy.
Scatterboo? No.
Yeah, no.
I'm
more.
taking Monungai.
I said more.
Equally.
Like Neil, Scatterboo, they love it, but I don't think anybody loves it more than Kyle Monungai.
If he just had like Quinshon Judkins punishing athleticism, I still think this is like a 3rd-round type of running back.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
Because even if you're not adding in the
higher.
long speed, if he's twitchier in corridors, force equals mass times acceleration, he's going to be fucking impossible to tackle.
And
But
the
really
thing-
good pick regardless.
The thing with Monungai is why I did like him as a 5-6 kind of guy is he doesn't have the long speed, does not have the lateral ability, but there is some burst there that like you can hit through the line for 5 yards to 5-10 yards. That's really nice, and that is enough, right, to be an NFL contributor. A little curious to see Roschon Johnson and him will play a similar role, but he's a 7th-round pick. You just take the value where it's there, right? But him and Roschon Johnson, we'll see who gets on the field a little bit more.
Trade candidate, possibly.
Maybe. I like Roschon, though, I feel
That's
like.
true,
And
yeah.
he's played well. He's played well when he's on the field. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten more reps.
Honestly, it's kind of a shame that Monungai goes here because he is going to get factored out a little bit. I was
Yeah.
hoping he'd go somewhere we'd get to see him more in year one. And then I mentioned Xavier Carlton. I thought that was their only remotely impact UDFA. Not a lot of
yeah.
guys standing out to me.
No, nobody really looks that interesting.
This is a draft with a team that had a lot of picks, and they took a lot of players. What grade did you give them?
I gave him a B. They got quite a bit better. And you did acquire a lot of good talent. There's a lot of talented players on this list, and we could look back in a couple years' time and be like, man, they got a lot of good players. But the process for some of these picks is very baffling. I don't like not addressing defense until outside of the top 60 when you have 3 top 60 picks. So I'm going to give this a B.
This is not the Packers fan bias in me talking, I promise. I gave him a D+. I thought this was awful use of resources.
Oof.
I thought the Loveland pick was bad. I thought the Burden pick was like a C-. I thought the Trapillo pick was bad. I thought the Turner pick was fine. And I thought the Hippolyte pick was terrible.
I'm also a bit higher in Loveland than you, so it makes sense.
I think that's fair. However, it does bring me solace that one of my least favorite drafts, fellow NFC North team.
Yeah, it was a weird draft. Model gave him the 19th best draft. I gave him the 21st.
Ready to move on to the Detroit Lions?
Let's do it.
They took Tyleek Williams at number 28 in the 1st round, Tate Ratledge in the 2nd, Isaac Tesla in the 3rd.
We're going to ring the bell for Tate Ratledge. We've been saying he's a Lion the entire cycle.
He's just a perfect fit. Now, do you get to ring it for Tesla as well? I thought you liked him quite a bit.
I did. We'll give one ring because I had a 4 through 5 on him, but he goes in the 3rd. So, yeah, but I feel like 4 through 5 isn't that much higher on him.
There was a point where nobody knew who this guy was. He was a nobody.
Well, I was on him pretty early because I was like, yeah, this fucking bald albino. He's not albino, but this bald guy.
Are you thinking of Landon Jackson?
I am thinking of Landon Jackson. No. He's bald though. No, he's not. I'm thinking of Landon Jackson. I am.
Who was literally albino, which is fascinating.
Yes, that which wasn't not an insult, by the way.
Of course.
Landon Jackson, that guy looks awesome. None is like
just ominous to go up again.
Yeah, I mean that's an edge right there. Also seems like a great guy. But Tesla, no, he's the guy with the curly hair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a great tester, great athlete. Knew he'd test well. And I do think there's enough there where I'm like, that could work out. That could absolutely work out.
And then in the 5th, Miles Frazier, Ahmed Hassani, who I believe is Egyptian, in the 6th round. Yeah. Dan Jackson,
there
baby.
You go. Ring it.
I think I was calling him as a Lion as well.
Yeah.
So the Lions are just an easy team to pick for.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of money putting bets on who the Lions are going to draft.
And we're always right, too.
Exactly.
It's like Tyleek's a Detroit Lion guy, too.
And then with the final pick in the 7th, Dominic Lovett out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Tell me about Tyleek.
I was not the biggest. Tyleek had his fans, and probably most of them probably would say this is a little high, but they say, okay, that's cool. I'll still ring the bell for it. I don't remember exactly where he slotted in my interior defensive lineman rankings. Let's look. He comes
6?
Yeah, he comes in at 6, just below Alfred Collins, but there's a tier gap after that of the top 5. He's in that tier with Shamar Turner and Darius Alexander, 2 through 3 guys who I just, I think they could be good contributors or very good players. He's a really good run defender, knows the game really well. I just don't think he's much of a factor in pass rush, and that's why I didn't like him in the first round.
Potentially sort of an heir apparent, maybe sooner than later, to DJ Reader, who kind of did struggle last year coming off injury.
The thing with that is, Reader is such a good anchorer, and he's
They're
so
different.
good at that. And Ty, how long are DJ Reader's arms? Because that's another issue I have with Tyreek, is if you're going to be this pure run defender, I would like you to have longer arms than 32 inches, right? And it absolutely shows. Some guys don't, but it absolutely shows with Tyreek Williams. So, but I've heard the DJ Reader comp a lot, so let's just do it real quick. DJ Reader, he does have 33-inch arms, so it's a little bit longer.
Significant.
Yeah, but also Reader was drafted very late, if at all. I don't remember. But yeah, I think they're different players, and Reader absolutely got the most out of those arms, and that inch plays a lot. I don't know. That's his best case scenario. I think he'll be a good rotational guy, maybe a start. He'll start for the first 2 downs, maybe occasionally does something as a pass rusher. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of this pick.
I don't love it either. This was a tough spot for Detroit to be in, because looking at their roster, there was a moment last year I was like, I don't know, I feel like we're maybe overprojecting them a little bit. They got a lot of getting better to do over the offseason. Now I look at the depth chart and it's like, nope, goddamn, that is still absolutely a Super Bowl team. That is one of the top threats in the NFL. And
they're still awesome.
It's hard for me to hate them adding a defensive lineman where you see the role projection, adding him into that room, especially with all the injuries they had last year, just sort of as a hedge, and a guy who is going to be a good player for you for the duration of his rookie contract and then beyond. So not a great pick. Didn't maximize value, but it's not like they reached on an interior lineman or anything.
Well, I think it was a reach, but
well, they didn't.
Yeah, no,
they didn't force the need.
Yes,
what I'm getting at.
I'm happy with that. Good fit, but yeah, I gave it a D+. It's just a whole round ahead where I would have taken him. I do love the fit. I love the player. I'm not saying I was a little bit lower on him, but there's those guys that you're lower on, but you still love the player. I mean, most guys you watch, you really love the player because these are all great football players. But Tyreek, you love to watch him because he gives his all. But yeah, that is just not good value. But I get why the Lions did it.
And then Tate Ratledge in the second round.
There you go.
And they got rewarded for their patience by not drafting interior offensive line, which you'd have to imagine is probably their biggest need early on. Kick-ass guard, underrated mover, excellent fit for the system. Is he the day one starter for them?
Who's in that room right now? Because Zeitler left. He's Tennessee now.
They signed a guy in free agency, I thought.
They did. Yeah, I think. Jesus Christ, that's a bad room without the rookies. Mahogany and Glasgow were slated to start. Yeah, he's starting day one.
You could do worse. I mean, not a lot worse.
Not much worse. And Mahogany did play a little last year, and I saw a little bit of him, and I liked him a lot coming out of Boston College last year as a guy who can play year one, and he did. So I think he'll start at the left, and that's what Ourlads has. I'd like him over Glasgow, but Ratledge will do fine on the right. He's pro-ready. He's a strong. I mean, literally the first thing I have in my eval for him is a strong, nasty Georgia guard with a mullet. That's just that summarizes Ratledge's game. He's gonna hit you. He's got power, technique, tenacity, and as you said, he's an underrated athlete. So he'll get drafted. He got drafted in the second round for good reason. He'll start for you, and like Tyreek, he will give you good reps for the entirety of his rookie contract.
He's got rat in the name. You know exactly what you're getting.
I think Ratledge and Tyreek Williams are similar players. They play different positions, similar mentality, similar players, and I think this is about where I would love Tyreek to go. So I have an A on this pick because I think it's fantastic value, fantastic fit. I would have an A if Tyreek Williams went here. I would have a D+ on Ratledge if he went at 28. So this is the proper spot to get it. I think they just had these two guys highlighted as these are our guys, and we're going to go out and get our guys. So I can't hate it. But yeah.
It's almost like they have a type.
Yeah. You think?
And then I think Isaac Tesla fits it pretty well. A guy who put his name out there during the Senior Bowl, having a really strong week. The athleticism popped. A small school. Well, why does Tesla feel like a small school player to me? Did he transfer up to Arkansas? Do you know that offhand?
I don't. Not off the top. Let's see, though. Yeah, very interesting player because he just didn't play much. Didn't do much for Arkansas.
Hillsdale College.
Woo, there you go.
Woo. Came on really late. He is a developmental project.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't love this pick is in the third round, I feel like you're still looking for guys who have a floor, and I'm not confident that Tesla does.
No.
However, if he works out and you get him in that room with Jamison Williams, who really came on late last season and is becoming a more complete starting caliber wide receiver, you have Tim Patrick to be more of your sort of underneath contested catch winner, not a jump ball threat, and then obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have a really nice 4-strong wide receiver room with a whole bunch of contrasting skill sets. You still have Sam Laporta as well. This could be a potent receiving group.
Yeah, I think he'll be. I liked him more as a big slot, but I think he can be an X. I just don't think year one he has the expertise nor the experience to get off press. But if he can develop that, he could be a nice X on the outside. Slightly more athletic Tim Patrick makes some sense. But he's a great linear athlete. He's not like a great all around athlete. I just don't. I don't love him at his ceiling as much as I think some people do because I just don't think he's ever going to separate well.
But he had a really good RAS score.
Yeah. Well, the RAS is good. He tested well for the explosiveness, but you just don't see it on tape.
What was his RAS score? It was comically high.
Well, because the testing
and it
is
mostly
incredible.
checked out.
Because 4.43 40, 1.51 10, 40-inch vert, 10.9 broad, all of that makes sense. The 3-cone 6.85, which is impressive, but I just don't see that on tape. 6.85 and 4.05, 3-cone and 20, I just don't see that anywhere. Maybe it's just he hasn't maximized it. You have to learn how to use that athleticism in game, and maybe they'll be able to bring that up to speed, and he'll be a really, really great Pro Bowler if they can figure out all of that. But realistically, those kinds of ceilings are rarely hit because even if they do hit the higher end of it, they're never going to really hit their ceiling because it's so hard to learn all of that so quickly. But interesting.
It's important to remember that this is a guy who hasn't played a whole lot of high-level football. Obviously, if Detroit is drafting him, the character stuff checks out.
Yeah.
Clearly a hard worker. There could be some untapped upside there.
And they believe they can get that out of him. I respect that.
I think he's got to be their X, is what they're looking to develop him into.
Yeah, he'll probably and learning. I believe Tim Patrick's still on the roster. Yeah, learning under him. That's perfect. That's perfect guy to learn under.
And then Miles Frazier in the 5th round, just another sort of Lions type mauler, sluggish feed. He absolutely could.
You could throw Frazier at left and Ratledge at right, and I wouldn't be mad at it.
I would be worried about his pass protection as a starter, but is he really much worse than what you already have?
Yeah, Mahogany.
Get Ragnow on the double team, help him out. He'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's good. I think his pass pro and his technique, it's good enough to survive day one. And his run game fits the mold. This is a good pick.
And then Ahmed Hassanin in the 6th round out of Boise State. I did not watch him. I don't think I watched anyone on the Boise State defense offhand. However, I am kind of familiar with his game. Did you see him?
I did, because if you remember on draft day when they made this pick, I was like, yes, he is a Detroit guy. Because, man, I only watched one game, maybe a game and a half, but this is a guy I saw run down 3 separate players on Boise State.
Let's go.
They got free. It was like, oh, that's a touchdown. It's a big game. No, Ahmed Hassanin is coming from a bat out of hell from across the field to somehow bring him down. And I'm like, I'm in love with this guy already. I'm in love with him. He's a great run defender. He's going to give his all. A little bit smaller guy, I believe. Do you have his measurables? Maybe.
I thought he had decent arm length.
Yeah. No, I think his arm length is good, but no, I don't think. Maybe he's 250.
Let's see what we got here. He is 6'2 3/8", 267, so more of a stout build, and then 32 1/4-inch arms. So
So
on the rougher end
the
of an
length
edge
is
rusher.
not great. He's a bigger guy, he's stout against the run, like you said. But yeah, the length is a little bit of an issue. I don't think it's going to be much of a factor in the pass rush, but he's just a fun guy to have on run downs who will give you his all. Great locker room guy. Absolutely love that in the 6th round.
And then Dan Jackson, he's built to be a Lion. He's not good at being a safety. There's really only one thing he does well, which is quickly snapping onto perimeter run plays, just kicking it into gear where he does have like linear 4.45 speed, and then throwing his head at the ball carrier's quads and hoping they go down. He forgets to use his arms a lot. Like 1 out of every 3 tackles, he just misses or falls directly off. He doesn't really have any coverage instincts, but as a potential dime back who has some opportunistic ball skills, let him fly around. I'm okay with that if he keeps developing. He's a great football story, by the way. He was like a three-sport athlete who is excellent at all three sports, but he played for a tiny school in, like, Appalachia, like 5,000 people, walks on at Georgia, scout team member for 2 years, and makes a run in college football playoffs. Fantastic story, but you drafted him for special teams. That is what he's going to be for them. He's going to run downfield. He's going to try and decapitate people, and he's going to be a nuisance.
Yeah, I like to call guys like him unicorns, not in the way you're thinking. It's because they try to pierce you with their horn, and they don't use their hands. That's how they're going to try to tackle you. They're going to try to pierce you with your horn and drag you down. If that doesn't work well, we're going the other way.
He's also just, like, really markedly weak. Probably one of the reasons that he fell through the recruiting cracks is because his frame just cannot carry any weight. However, when he's flying at you with the crown of his helmet, you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
And then, finally, Dominic Lovett, back-to-back Georgia picks. Did you watch any of Lovett?
Not much. No.
Neither did I. I know he's more of a undersized type of receiver. He played almost exclusively in the slot. 15 missed tackles forced, decent drop rate. I've heard good things about his separation ability. This checks out as someone who never watched Dominic Lovett. I think I saw a little bit of him watching Carson Beck, but that's all. And that's going to do it on the Lions draft. So a more predictable group of players. And when you're the Lions, I think that's a good thing. What grade did you give them?
I gave it a C+. It's just a lot of – you didn't maximize value very well. You got your guys. I appreciate that. That's why it's not – I mean, it is a bottom 5 draft. It's number 28, but it could have been worse. I don't hate this draft, but just out of principle, you just did not get the most bang for your buck for your picks. There were a lot of better players on the board most of the times you picked, especially in the first and the third round. So I got to give this a C+. A fine draft, but you could have gotten a lot better.
It's also worth noting that they really didn't get anyone in the UDFA pool. Probably their biggest name is Caden Prescore, who I've recently learned is something of a favorite among the ladies because apparently he has like a wife and kids, and he like posts all this cute stuff on social media about like his college and NFL journey.
Yeah.
So that's actually how I learned that Caden Prescore went to the Lions, is because someone told me this player from Ole Miss who's got like a wife and kids, and I love like watching it, went to the Lions. So now me and my friends are Lions fans, and it's like, God fucking damn it. Everybody likes the Lions. You can't have complete market capitalization. Ugh. No. I gave him a B-.
They brought in Boston College running back Kai Robichaux. I saw heard of him. Very little of him, but I heard a couple of good things about him. So I wanted to note that. Got a heck of a motor. So
Kai Robichaux?
Kai Robichaux.
I like that name.
Yeah, it's fun.
Never heard of him before, but I like the name.
It's fun to say.
All right. And now it's time for the Green Bay Packers.
There you go.
Starting off the draft on a high note. They finally did it.
Big
to
time.
Uproaring applause in Green Bay. Matthew Golden, the wideout from Texas. And then they took Anthony Belton in the second round because, obviously, Savion Williams in the third, Baron Sorrell in the fourth, Colin Oliver in the fifth, Warren Brinson in the sixth, and Micah Robinson, who, fun fact, was the first player that I did not have on my draft board selected, so Dane Brugler still got me beat there in the seventh, as well as John Williams, the offensive lineman out of Cincinnati. I really like the Matthew Golden pick. Are you adding another potential wide receiver two into a room full of wide receiver twos? Yes. However, here's the thing.
He's the best wide receiver two.
I think Golden can be a really high-end wide receiver two, and I think everything else we have is kind of capped at being a really high-end wide receiver three. I do think that he easily has the right trajectory to become the best wide receiver in this group, and that matters when you're Green Bay because I believe we led the league in drop rate last season. You saw it. It's not good for Jordan Love's development. We need guys who can handle the football consistently. I know that's not really Golden's game. His hands consistency is fine.
Yeah.
It's not egregious.
Like 13 drops in 3 years was the number, but I think all of his drops last year came in 4 games. I saw consistent hands and good technique when he's catching the football. I don't know what the drops came from.
And it's really the separation, though, that makes you so excited about Matthew Golden. He instantly becomes that. I don't want to call him like the alpha in the Packers receiving room because obviously he's not built like an alpha number one wide receiver, but he is the guy that you trust to run the full route tree. And thank God, no injury history for Matthew Golden because we just need wideouts that stay on the field. I'm not going to give this like an A+, but I think this is a B+ to A- pick. The value checks out. The positional need checks out. really solid. Gutekunst did the right thing.
Yeah, this is an A for me. You know how much I love Golden. I think y'all got a GM. Great, elite separator. Not like McConkey level coming out of college. Nobody's McConkey level, but he's a very good separator. And the thing that sticks out to me is great separator, great after the catch, but then also is one of the best contested catchers in this class in both technique and nastiness and numbers. It all checks out.
The body control is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a thing of beauty.
It's incredible. So, absolutely fantastic pick. I think he can pass as your wide receiver 1. You prefer him as a just elite number 2 wide receiver. When someone makes those, the best number 2 wide receiver lists, he will be on there every time. Not
Who's the number 1?
he'll be on there every time. He may be number 1. He may not be. I don't know. But he's Devontae Smith-esque. Not the same player, but I mean, some of the same, like a little bit undersized, where Smith is very undersized, but both are good contested catchers. He could be that kind of wide receiver too. So if you can get a true alpha like A.J. Brown in the room, he's just going to become that much better.
The Pack started off round 1 with a bang, and then we took Escalade. Anthony Belton, the offensive tackle out of NC State in round 2. So far, I'm just huffing hopium based on the fact that his name is Escalade, that this pick is going to work out. Make me like it more, please.
Yeah, also, I am also a Belton guy. I had him over Ursary. I had a true 3 on him, so it was early for me. But this guy's name is Escalade for a reason, because he moves guys. Like, when you're talking about pure dominance in the run game, there are not many guys who are better than Belton. In just the best reps, he's just dominating guys. He dwarfs people. 6'6", 336, 34-inch arms. That's insane. And he gives good run technique. You need to work on it, and the fact that he's a 24-year-old senior concerns me. That's why you drop him. He's not the best pass protector. His athleticism is sometimes not enough, especially when he's trying to recover. Not great, but as a pass protector, I think he can survive if you can improve the technique. And in the run game, if you can improve the technique, I think he can be a top 15 to 10 tackle in run blocking.
I've heard some people talking about him as a guard. I think he's a tackle. I think that a guy with his size who has enough foot speed to hang at tackle, especially if he gets better with his strike points where he can take advantage of those long arms. The Packers have been very, very good at coaching up offensive linemen. I see the vision here for a replacement to Rasheed Walker, who is not nearly as good as a run blocker, and we all know how good Josh Jacobs was last year. There is a reason he wasn't particularly efficient. The Packers' run blocking on the offensive line just isn't particularly exceptional. I get what we're looking for, but really, to reach on a potential upgrade over Rasheed Walker in the second round after you signed Aaron Banks? What are we doing here? Yeah. Come on.
And if he's going to replace Rasheed Walker, which I don't think Rasheed Walker needs to be replaced. I'm a big Walker fan.
Me neither.
And, maybe you want to improve the run blocking on that side, but at a downgrade for the pass protecting when you already have a quarterback who goes absolutely insane when he's pressured, I don't know if that's a trade-off I'd want to make. To do that, you need to switch him to left tackle, which I think is just going to be tremendously harder for him to play.
He's a prototype left tackle, Victor.
Yeah, he's a prototype left tackle. Definitely not a prototype right tackle. It is opposite day, so that's why. I wouldn't do that. I would not. I would keep him at right tackle. So that's what makes this baffling, because you have one of the best right tackles in football in Zach Tom on the other side. I don't know where he fits in. I just don't. But I like the player. I don't like the pick. I don't. I give it a C- just because it did like the player. We're going to ring the bell a little bit. But, yeah.
C- is how I would grade this out as well. And then we take Savion Williams, the gadget wide receiver out of TCU in the third round.
But an ex-prototype. Well,
you know what? I'm going to ring the bell on this because I loved Savion Williams. And I hate this fucking pick, Victor. What are we doing? How many wide receivers can we keep on the roster, and how many of them can actually catch the football?
I don't know. Yeah, no, he can't catch football.
Oh my gosh, who's the H-back type we drafted? We drafted Josiah DeGuara, but the wide receiver version. Look, I think he's going to be a better, more effective player than Josiah DeGuara ever was. But a guy who just doesn't have a clear role and who needs steep development as a little bit of an older prospect to even crack the starting part of the roster. Oh, this feels like bad use of resources because the defense was not elite last year. Cornerback is hurting. We need depth along the defensive line. It does help that we got Barron Sorrell later, but to double dip on wide receiver when we already have the league's biggest collection of wide receiver 3s and 4s. Don't love the process. Could be worse, don't love it.
Yeah, it's a weird process. Savion Williams is that guy that you have a true 3 on, but then anytime anybody takes him in the third round, you're like, yeah, I don't know.
If you have like the right luxury fit for him where he's going to have a bona fide role in year one as sort of your design touch guy, maybe a vertical threat, and you can shape him into the player you want him to be, that's one thing. But when you lead the league in drop rate and then you take a guy who dropped like 13% of his passes and consistently fights the football when he's not catching it on dudes' heads, then I don't love it as much.
Yeah, it was questionable, but I did give it a B- just because, I don't know, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Savion Williams, and he does... Listen, I said I like to make a public apology real quick too. I know we don't have much time, but I like to make a public apology to Jaden Reed. I said that he was not great after the catch. I said he was fine.
Jaden Reed's pretty outstanding.
Yeah, no, I mean I've watched Jaden Reed tape. I loved him coming into college, but I guess I just hadn't seen him in the NFL do great after the catch stuff. I was wrong. This guy's awesome after the catch. I would like to sincerely apologize to Jaden Reed, but now you had another freak after the catch. I don't hate that, and there's less to bring up in the contested catching department. There's still plenty to bring up. Awful hand-eye coordination. Truly terrible. Awful ball tracking. But he's got a feel for it. He's got a feel for it. And he's got some hops. There's something there. But yeah, he's also a bad separator. So in the end, I hate this.
Terrible.
Yeah. No, I like it, but I don't like it.
How many career... Actually, let me look this up since I'm the one who has
12% drop rate.
How many receptions does he have on his career? Because he is just... he's a raw type of athlete. And I know a lot of those. As a guy who we think of as a deep threat, came very close to the line of scrimmage on design touches. So he just doesn't have all that many deep ball tracking reps in his career, but you still wish he was farther along than he is because he has the natural talent for it.
Yeah.
Just a lot to clean up, and it's hard to bank on. Third round is pretty rich. Barron Sorrell in the fourth, I like. Finally going to the defensive well. He's going to play opposite Rashawn Gary on run defense downs, and then he's probably going to come off the field, or maybe not. If Lucas Van Ness never turns into anything that can actually see the football field, he could be the bona fide number 2 starter in year one. Really good pick. I like it. It's not like an A, but it's a B+.
Yeah, no, I gave this a B+ too. He's a great leader. Renowned in Texas, can play everywhere. He's a smart guy. He's a good dude. I mean, he waited 3 days in the green room just to get his name called.
You love that.
Really great moment in front of Green Bay. Good run defender, and I think he is the motor to be a good pass rush. I mean, motor is probably like a top 3 most important pass rush trait. Legitimately. It's like athleticism, then technique, then motor, right? There's not anything else more important. So I think he can be solid. Probably a replacement level starter, but I think that's his ceiling and his floor, so it's nice. In the fourth, you'll take that.
And then a whole different type of edge rusher, Colin Oliver. He played a little bit of a Samuel at Oklahoma State. For the most part, more of just the 3-4 edge rusher.
Yeah.
I didn't love his pass rush arsenal when I saw it. It was a lot of just trying to dip underneath, limited hand usage, very poor length, a lot of getting pancaked and washed out. But a good athlete. I see some vision behind it. God, he can't really win reps in year one, though, I don't think.
Yeah,
so I'm not in love with this.
Well,
This
you got to
was early
remember,
for me.
he's only played 4 games as an edge rusher in his career. He was a linebacker his entire career. Last season, they switched him to edge, then he gets hurt. So he's incredibly new to the position. And that's not a good thing, but that explains some of the technique issues. He is incredibly raw, but yeah, he is a good athlete. So interesting.
I did not watch his off-ball tape. Maybe he could be Quay Walker in year one. Never know.
I didn't technically book it, so I was just making sure that there was no one waiting on us.
Fair enough.
He was not a good linebacker. I watched a lot of Oklahoma State games. He's not a good linebacker, but
So he fits the Quay Walker mold.
yeah, but he could be a nice pass rush specialist if you work on the technique and he, can figure out how to play undersized, and he can figure out how to find a spot in the package rotation, and he can figure out how to stay healthy. If all of those things happen, he could be a fine rotational pass rusher.
And then, do you have anything else to say?
No.
And then Warren Brinson in the 6th round. I didn't do a full eval on Warren Brinson. I was just exposed to him watching one of the 17 draftable prospects from Georgia's defense. Just a rotational guy for the Bulldogs. I thought he was adequate in both phases from what I'm remembering. I don't view him as much of a specialist. Probably better in run defense than as a pass rusher, right? I'm really trying to jog my memory to the tape I watched 2 months ago. This does seem a little bit rich. Like maybe they're just trying to go back to that Georgia well, trying to be the NFC North Philadelphia Eagles potentially, since that worked out solidly for the Eagles last year. I'm not going to adore this because I think it was early for Warren Brinson, but he'll be on the roster.
Yeah.
Probably.
If you told me that the Packers would end up with Stackhouse and Brinson, one of them UDFA, one of them 6th round, I would have guessed Stackhouse was the 6th round, but yeah, whatever.
And I do like getting Stackhouse as a UDFA. However, the Vikings got Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins. The Lions got Dan Jackson. Can't let that happen. You got to keep the Georgia monopoly, keep the gang together. Then Micah Robinson in the 7th round, I'd never heard of.
Neither had I.
And John Williams, if I'm remembering correctly, more of a lengthy, decently athletic tackle from Cincinnati. Feels like the kind of player who will make the roster that the Packers can shape into something because every single year we take a lineman in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round that winds up being a starter a few years down the road. So hard to fault that process. I was aware of who this guy was at least. Other UDFAs, Jamon? I'm pretty confident it's Jamon Dumont Johnson from Kentucky. And then J.J. Lippy and Tyler Cooper, a pair of Midwest linemen. Can't fault them for that either.
Like Cooper.
I don't think this is a great draft. However, maybe this is the Packers' bias, and that's why I'm ranking it moderately favorably. I gave him a B-. I thought it was fine. I thought it was on the very lower end of strong.
Yeah, I gave it a B. I love the golden pick. That absolutely propped up a lot of it. I like Oliver and Sorrell. I think are a nice 2-pick run. Savion, it's not the worst pick in the world. Belton, I like the player. So I gave it a B. This is the highest rated NFC North draft for me. Number 19 in my rankings, and it's actually a top half model draft. Number 16. There you go.
And finally, this one's going to be short and sweet. This is going to help us with the time crunch that we're on right now.
Yep.
The Minnesota Vikings. Donovan Jackson at number 24 in round 1. Ty Felton in the 3rd round, and that's going to do it for days 1 and 2. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins in the 5th. Kobe King in the 6th. And Gavin Bartholomew also in the 6th round. I know you despise this draft, so why don't you take it away?
This is the worst draft in the entirety of the 32 teams by far. Number 31 in both model and rankings is the New York Jets. They got a C from me, and the model gave them a 42%. They maximized 42% of their value. Minnesota Vikings are number 32. I gave this draft a D. Lowest draft by far by an entire letter grade. The model gave them a 31, 11 points below the next highest. The difference between 31 and 32 is the same difference as 31 and in the highest is the same difference as I don't have it actually pulled up. It's the same difference as 31 and 13.
We're keeping that in.
Yeah.
Fuck!
Same difference as 32 and 31. The difference between the Vikings and the Jets, 32 and 31, according to the model, is the same as 31 and 13. That's how bad this draft was. Truly horrendous. Very, there's no redeeming qualities, basically. Let's start off with Donovan Jackson. I mean, why don't you just say what grade you gave it as well? So because there's not many picks to talk about.
Victor, it wasn't even my least favorite draft in the division.
What?
I gave it a C+. I really didn't like it. However, so we named their draft picks. Normally I would save this to the end, but they saved a lot of value for UDFAs.
I didn't look at UDFAs.
Max Brosmer, Logan Brown, Chaz Chambliss, Joe Huber, Wisconsin, Bryson Nesbitt, Trey Stewart, and Ben Jurasik. It's a really solid UDFA class. It's really not elite, but it's pretty nice. Yeah.
It's really nice. I like Tyler Beatty quite a bit. I like Logan Brown. I like
they
Max
got Tyler
Brosmer.
Beatty as well?
Yeah. Urasek as well. This is a nice UDFA class. I don't grade I don't grade drafts based on UDFAs, but that's free agency. But the picks were horrible. Donovan Jackson.
They weren't great.
I was not a Donovan Jackson guy. I didn't get it. I don't think he is the anchor to hold up at guard. I don't think he's big enough or long enough to play tackle. I don't know where you play him. I have no idea. I think he's a great athlete and he's a competent player. Absolutely did whatever Ohio State asked. I just don't know where he plays.
I liked his ability to get to the second level and scoop block. I didn't think his hand usage as a run blocker was especially bad, and I didn't hate his anchor. In the games I watched, there wasn't a ton of him getting bull rushed. I think my least favorite quality about Donovan Jackson was, oh my gosh, I have to think back to this. Oh yeah, I didn't like his ability to just straight up displace people, which is what you're looking for in a guard prospect. In a tackle, I'm willing to give a little bit more leeway. If you struggle to move guys, Olu Fashion, who struggled to move guys on a lot of his Penn State tape, I'm okay with that. As a left tackle, you want a guy who can pass block for you. For a guard, you need a guy who can run block. It is mandatory. And Donovan Jackson, I think, is all around pretty mediocre at that. Even if he's a solid scheme fit for what Minnesota wants to do, at 24 in the first round, that's a reach. Maybe no one was calling him, but I really wanted to see them trade back and recoup more capital because they suffered for only having 5 picks down the board.
Yeah, and this is your only top 100 pick, and that's how you spent it. It's just baffling. He was like 57 on my big board. And the thing with his anchor is I think he maximizes his anchor as a tackle because he can get to his stance so quickly, which is awesome, and he can get his base good, which that's cool against edge rushers, but he struggled against the strongest edge rushers. It does not matter against interior. If you don't like interior guys, his anchor was fine. It was fine to below average at tackle because he was able to get that advantage with the leverage so easily. You're not going to be able to get that at guard. You're not going to be able to do that when there's a difference between 260 pounds of force that has to be fast versus 320 pounds of force that does not have to be fast whatsoever and just has to worry about strength coming right after you, trying to displace you. I think he's going to get killed on the interior. I don't think he's good enough to be a tackle. I just don't. I don't see it. I like him. I like the player. I have no idea. These few deficiencies are just so glaring and I don't think the technique nor the athleticism is good enough to make up for it. I don't think he's ever going to be an above average guard, which if you're not taking him to be an above average guard, I don't know what you're taking him to be. So just a weird pick. I don't like it.
The one redeeming quality I think we have here is I do think that Donovan Jackson is going to start sooner rather than later. Yeah. I think he's good enough to be an NFL starter. I don't feel the same way about Ty Felton at 102. I don't really know what Ty Felton does at an NFL level. He, to me, was a late day 3 sort of prospect, and I don't understand this at all.
Yeah, he's a good athlete. He's a fun deep threat. He can run after the catch. He's kind of like Jalen Lane, except he's not as good at football, like the actual football stuff. And then he goes quite a bit higher. Well, not like 30 picks higher than Jalen Lane, who went a lot higher. He could be a slot or a Z if you can bring up the technique, but he's going to get bullied if he's an outside receiver. And he's just not a good route runner either. He can separate, but he's no route running nuance. Going against NFL athletes, I think he's going to get killed.
I liked Lane better from an athleticism standpoint. I have heard really good things about Ty Felton's football character, a veteran leader on that Maryland team, and we know that Kwesi likes that in the players he drafts in the 3rd round. Not in love with it. Then Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins in the 5th. A lottery ticket could be something for you, whether that's as a penetrating 3-tech or even potentially as an edge rusher. Man, I have a hard time seeing him playing as an edge rusher, personally. Yeah. And you just don't actually know if you're getting anything out of him. There is a very real chance that he isn't even on the roster a year from now. So, I mean, sure, decent value for where you took him at, but when you have fewer picks, I would prefer that you prioritize floor over ceiling a little bit and keep your team young and effective.
Yeah. He's interesting. In the 5th round, I don't hate it at all. I give it a C+. I'm always down to see if the undersized guy with good athleticism and that motor can see if he can do it.
And then Kobe King in the 6th, the athlete who is not good at football in the 6th. That 201, so the back end of the 6th, whatever.
Still better than Nick Martin. I still have him higher than Nick Martin.
Completely fair. Where did you have him in your linebacker rankings?
2nd to last.
Out of like 40, I assume.
Oh, I don't do that many. I think I only did 16 linebackers.
This is a bad linebacker class.
Yeah. I did not do many. I did 17. He was 16.
And then Gavin Bartholomew, who has a challenging name to say, and to me really isn't good at anything in particular. He can't block. He's not a particularly nuanced route runner. He's an average athlete. He drops the ball at a decent rate and gets bullied at the catch point. And they took him in the late 6th, so I'm not in love with that. However, it is getting Brosmer and Brown
That's nice.
and Joe Huber as interior offensive line depth. And I'm even intrigued with Jurasic. It's just hard to know what was going on at Georgia, and his Stanford tape was watchable, to say the least. I mean, he could very well be a playable tight end for you. I am going to knock their grade down to a C, and when I send you my final version, it might be like a C-, but I am willing to stay above a D because I think the Donovan Jackson pick is fine. I think that they were roughly fine on day 3, and then I think they, added a bunch of legit day 3 picks. I would be fine with Brosmer in the 6th, Logan Brown in the 4th or 5th. 4th is a little bit rich. Huber in the 6th. They recoup some value there. Still not a good draft by any means.
I think Logan Brown must have fell because he was dismissed from the previous school that he played at. I'm thinking
Wisconsin?
that was probably Wisconsin.
I didn't know
Really?
he got dismissed. I thought he just transferred out. 'Cause
No,
couldn't get
he
on
was.
the field.
I read that he was dismissed from somewhere, but was it Wisconsin? Maybe.
He did play at Wisconsin. Yeah, he was a big time prospect for us. He got beat out by Jack Nelson, and then Jack Nelson went above him, baby. Let's go.
I have it in my notes that he got dismissed. Yes, no, he was dismissed from Wisconsin halfway through the season for an internal incident.
Ooh, that's ugly.
So
I know
that
reports
probably-
of how he was at the Senior Bowl were questionable. A lot of competitive fire and a lot of the less savory aspects of competitive fire as well, picking fights, that sort of thing. So
that plus injury issues probably. That's
then
why I didn't
he's
go.
not that good at football either.
Yeah,
So
but the
you get it.
athleticism and
Yep.
the length were enough that I was like, yeah, there's no way he doesn't get drafted unless the character and injury issues are enough.
I'm still shocked Miami didn't take him in the 3rd. All right, so that's going to do it for the NFC North. Now, we got to hustle a little bit. AFC North, starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who take Derek Harmon in the 1st, Caleb Johnson in the 3rd round. Let's go. Jack Sawyer, the chair, in the 4th. Yup, there it is.
All right, you win.
Yaya Black in the 5th. Will Howard out of Ohio State in the 6th. And then Carson Bruner and Dante Kent rounding out the 7th round. I like the Derek Harmon pick. I maybe don't love it as much as some people do. I think I would have preferred the value from trading down, but keep that defensive line fresh. A year 1 impact. Really solid.
Yeah, this is big whiplash. We're going from my number 32 ranked draft to my number 1 ranked draft.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
And it's model loves it too. It's number 1 for the model as well. This is an awesome draft. But I love the Harmon pick. It's an A- for me. Derek Harmon's just such a good football player,
Yes,
man.
he is.
He's going to be a great pass rusher for you. Going to be a good run defender for you. Teach him. Cam Hayward's going to teach him how to be Cam Hayward, and that's awesome. If he can lower that missed tackle rate number, I think he'll be a Pro Bowler. Nothing to dislike about this pick. So hopefully he's doing okay because that's a rough. Draft night
Yeah.
was probably rough for him, But
Tragically lost his mother, right? For those who
Yeah.
didn't hear about that.
yeah, he lost his mother on draft night, but she did get to see him drafted, and she got to see him. So that's really cool. Hopefully he's able to get through that tough
Beautiful
time.
part of a really awful story.
Really is. But he's a great pick, and it's a great spot. It's such a Pittsburgh pick. I adore it.
And then Caleb Johnson at number 83.
How?
This is the rare A-plus pick for me. This is
Ooh.
absolutely perfect. The scheme fit checks out. They were looking for a bell cow back, and to get a good value in a good running back class where we thought guys were going to go high, this is fantastic.
I love it, man. Caleb. This actually only got an A for me because they like to run a lot more inside stuff, which that clearly means.
I still think he can do that.
Yeah, I
He's
think
only
he
a
can
third-year
too.
junior.
So you teach him how to do that. I'm absolutely down. Caleb's so good. He's my number 4 running back in the class. I think he's going to be such a good player for them. And in the 3rd round, 83, RJ Harvey went above him. Why?
It is
Awesome pick.
It's just so rare to get that guy who projects as an every down starter for you long into the future.
Yeah.
And for it to be the Steelers of all teams who just let Najee go, to get upgraded Najee, in a lot of ways, I know it's not a 1-to-1 comp, but I think he can be better than Najee Harris ever has
Way
been.
better athlete.
You're not losing any of that 1,000-yard season carrying capacity with Caleb Johnson. Fantastic pick. And Jack Sawyer in the 4th round. I thought I was going to hate the Jack Sawyer pick wherever he went because he was getting legitimate first-round buzz at times. It wasn't common, but I saw it in mock drafts. I love this spot for Jack Sawyer. This is fantastic to be their early down edge setter. You swap him in and out with Alex Highsmith, pair him beside TJ Watt. You can't run on this team anymore. Excellent.
I think Jack Sawyer was probably one of our biggest points of contention this year. But even I didn't like him as a first round. I was not in the highest bid of Jack Sawyer.
You weren't
haters.
close to him on a first round.
I wasn't. I had a 2 through 3 on him. So it was like but I had him in my top 10 edge rushers. You had like a fourth grade on him or something like that. So
I think I had a true fourth.
we had a big difference on him. It was a fun conversation. You win this one. I'll give it to you. Hail to the king. But no, this is an absolute steal for me because I think Sawyer's, as you said, he's a really great run defender, fantastic motor, just always working. He's just a polished technician, and in pass rush, I think he knows enough. He's good enough, and I think he is a good enough athlete. I think he's got some okay get off. He's got really good bend through contact to just hit that outside shoulder, run through that contact on the arm on the chest, and continue to bend around the edge to finish the play. I think he's very good at that. Smart player, knows what he's doing. This is a great pick to add to an already. This defensive line is so scary. T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Derek Harmon. I just don't know. Like you said, I don't know how you run on them, and I don't know how you throw on them. It's just this is a unit that can completely transform how a team plays. This is a unit that can carry them to the playoffs all by themselves. We were talking on draft night when New York picked Abdul Carter and Darius Alexander. We were like, okay, is this the best defensive line of football? Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Darius Alexander? And then we're like, well, Pittsburgh. Because it's just, you'll forget about Pittsburgh, and then you'll remember, yes, this is the best defensive line in football every year, and this is going to keep that going for a long time.
And then Yaya Black in the 5th round makes it better. Look, he's not going to contribute as a pass rusher. This is a pure nose tackle. Pretty abysmal athlete from everything I watched. However, if there's one thing you can't do, it is move him off the point of attack. He is going to bruise you up, and that's a skill set they don't really have. Getting that in the 5th round, this is another A for me.
Yeah, I gave it a B+. I absolutely love it. And then
just updating my grade on the Steelers real quick as we talk through this.
Kenny Pickett if he didn't suck.
Will Howard in the 6th round. Are you kidding me? Forget about starting. Who do they have right now?
Mason Rudolph.
Forget about starting Mason Rudolph.
I prefer him. I would.
Do it. Do it, cowards.
Will
Don't
Howard.
sign Aaron Rodgers.
Day 1, start Will Howard.
Take him to the playoffs,
Let's
baby.
fucking do it.
Carson Bruner, I didn't watch him, but I saw enough of him. He's a field general linebacker. Shades of Cody Lindenberg, the linebacker out of Minnesota, who is also in this draft class. You watched Dante Cantor and Carson Bruner?
I didn't see either of them, no. They were not available.
Kent I've heard of. Haven't watched any of them. However, in the UDFA pool, Rock Taylor, guy who got invited to the Combine, Sebastian Castro as well. Just netting a free 4th or 5th round pick. Just piling on to what is already an A caliber draft. I mean, any other thoughts there?
Yeah, man, they just knocked every pick out of the park pretty much. You know what? I didn't do it. The entire time, this entire cycle, I've been saying I don't have an A+. Guess what? I'm changing it. Pittsburgh, you get the only A+ in the class. This is an A+ draft. They didn't miss on a pick. So I didn't watch Bruner or Kent. Let's just say Sebastian Castro. They traded 2 7ths for Sebastian Castro in the 6th. Sounds good. Because I didn't watch them. I can't evaluate that. You know what I mean? But the guys I did watch, A-, A, steal, B+, A-. Comes out to an A+. 87.6 on the model, which is by far the highest. You maximize 87.6% of your value. Next highest was 82. Absolutely killed it. This is an incredible draft. Now, I have no complaints. I don't think this could have been better.
I gave him an A. This is how the Steelers extend that winning 9 or 10 games every single year streak deep into the future. Now we just got to get your quarterback. Let's go.
That's never going to happen.
Never going to happen. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals in what's been a very contentious draft. They took Shamar Stewart at 17. I know to a lot of people that's not super popular.
We're going to ring the bell on that, though.
We are. Go ahead. Demetrius Knight in the 2nd round.
The bell stops working now. There it is.
That should be an anti-ring the bell since you had him as a top 10 pick.
I didn't have him as a top 10 pick, but considering he was consensus 3rd round pick, get him in the 2nd round, I'm ringing the bell.
Absolutely. Dylan Fairchild in the 3rd, Barrett Carter in the 4th, Jalen Rivers in the 5th, and Taj Brooks, I feel like you should get a ring for that one, in the 6th. Take it away on Shamar Stewart. I know some people are trashing on this a little bit. Is he the biggest year one impact? Probably not. I still love it.
Yeah, I think he's a better prospect. Miles Murphy was coming out.
Yeah.
I get why people trashing it. I only gave it a B+. This is Shamar Stewart was number 10 on my board. He goes 17. It's only a B+ at a position of need in a good scheme fit. Why is this not higher? It's because I get it. Cincinnati is not a team that is good at developing players. They're not a team that's good at developing players
Or retaining
on the
players or
defense.
coaching.
Yes. But with Al Golden coming in, I believe in him. That Notre Dame defense was nasty for a reason. And I think he can bring him up to speed. I think he's better than Miles Murphy was. I think he's a really good football player who fits the scheme well, and you know he's going to be a good run defender for you. You know that in a team that struggles to defend the run, that's always good to get. If you can keep Trey Hendrickson around, he can be your number 2 pass rusher. He's a good replacement for Sam Hubbard at the very worst. Like last year, Sam Hubbard, who wasn't a good football player. But I think he will be a good football player. I think he's going to get there. I really do. I believe in him. So I'm going to say this is a good pick.
I think barring like a really advantageous trade, this is the best thing they could have done at pick 17. I know some people disagree. We both like this pick a lot. And then Demetrius Knight in the second round. Last year, it felt like it was Logan Wilson versus the world. Not anymore because he is ready to make an impact on day one.
And, you know, this is such a good fit, too. I was saying whoever Demetrius Knight was going to go to, that is my favorite pick of the draft, maybe. And then it somehow becomes better because he doesn't have I thought he was a fantastic coverage backer. Everybody disagreed. So I was like, okay, maybe he's not like elite. I don't think he's elite. I think he's a good coverage backer where he's elite at everything else. He's good. Maybe he's not going to be able to track with like the best tight ends in the world. He doesn't have to because Logan Wilson is one of the best 5 coverage backers in football. So you just get him to get the second guy that the linebacker has to get to, the running back or the tight end that's not as good. He's going to completely beat them because unless you're going up just against an awesome talent in receiving game, Demetrius Knight is going to have him beat because he's a really good athlete, maybe not an elite athlete, which is why he's not going to track with those elite guys. Really good athlete who knows what he's looking at, is really quick to clue on to everything. There is no linebacker I've seen, and he's the best linebacker I've seen in a long time, in recognizing mesh and absolutely obliterating people. In run game, he's just awesome. He sees what's in front of him. He's really good at taking on blocks. He's also really good at avoiding blocks. He knows that you don't always have to take on a block. You can avoid, dip under, find the guy. He always knows where the ball is, always knows where the runner is. He's a perfect tackler. The missed tackle rate's high. I never saw a missed tackle, so I can't tell you there. Fantastic tackling technique.
Fake news from PFF.
Exactly. Fake news. Great athlete. Incredible character guy. Family man. You know, and
Let's go.
He 2 kids and a wife. Awesome. So that brings us to the one knock on him, which is that he is 25. So that's a little old.
He's already settling down.
But realistically,
planning the retirement.
But realistically, yes, he's 25. But right now, he's better than most, if not all, of the linebackers in this class. The only linebacker I think that will be better than him right now at 25 in this class is Jihad Campbell, maybe Chris Paul. And maybe Schlesinger. Yeah, Schlesinger, I'll say he's better than him. He'll be better than him right now. I'll say Jihad Campbell will be. Maybe Chris Paul will be. I don't think anybody else will be.
And then in the third round, they get Dylan Fairchild. And a lot of people are kind of bagging on this pick. I don't really get that. Now, for most teams, this would be a little bit of a reach. But for a team that I think is still slated to be starting Cordell Volson, who runs a lot inside, like almost exclusively inside, I swear, I like this as a scheme fit for Dylan Fairchild. At the very least, I'm okay with it. He's not going to be outstanding in pass protection in year one, but that's why you have Joe Burrow. The Bengals' one organizational strength. It's not coaching. It's not schematics. It's not developing players. It's not retaining players. It's having Joe Burrow, so I like it.
I don't. I'm sorry. I hate this pick so much.
You hate it?
I hate it. D.
All right.
Straight up D. Yes, you have a need, but I had Dylan Fairchild as a true 5. He's an adequate athlete with good size, and that's about it, in my opinion. There's nothing else he's good at. He's not bad at that many things.
I thought he was good at moving people. I thought he converted that size.
Really?
Well, not good.
I thought
it was a lot worse than Rowledge.
I have written down poor anchor, poor drive, sustain, and tenacity.
Sustain, yes.
Yes, can't sustain. I just didn't see him move people. I don't know. Maybe we watched different games. I never saw him move people. I never saw the strength. I thought he was a good athlete. I thought he was a fine athlete. That's why I said I want him in the zone scheme. I want I want him in an outside zone scheme, and that's why I don't like this pick even more because, as you said, Cincinnati loves to run inside. They love inside zone. They love gap. I think he's a rotational lineman, replacement level starter ceiling in a zone system. I think he's just a true backup in a gap system. I despise this pick. Maybe I watched the wrong games. That's always possible, but I do think he's smart. Sorry. He's not good at anything. I think he's smart. I think he's instinctive. He's a fine technician, but still he knows what he's doing, but he always times it wrong. Is my biggest issue. The hands they're never at the right time, but it's like
he's a very sluggish sort of athlete, which is why I don't love him in a move system, and I like him better in Cincinnati.
I agree. I think he's a sluggish athlete, but I think it's better than his strength and his ability to move guys in the gap system. That's why I said I preferred him in the zone. I don't know. This is just a bad pick.
And to be clear, I did give this like a B-, but we definitely do see it differently as well.
Okay.
And then Barrett Carter in the 4th round. It's good. It's good. Look, it's not like they have 5 linebackers sitting around. I forget the team that we were talking about that does have like 5 linebackers sitting around, and it's like
Jags.
Yeah, probably. The Jags. How do you get on the field? This is perfectly fine. Yeah. I mean, they need defense. They took one of the best available defenders.
They have one linebacker sitting around before this. I think it was Logan Wilson. That was pretty much it. Jermaine Pratt still exists, I guess. But Pratt. He's solid, but. So, Demetrius Knight, be on the field, get Barrett Carter in there. He doesn't have to. He's not going to play right away because he is he needs to improve a lot on the processor, the instincts, everything. And then as a will backer, you need to have a good processor and be a good coverage player. But he's great athleticism and he's got great flashes. I like it. I had 3 through 4.
Jalen Rivers in the 5th round. They're sort of employing the Madden draft strategy of we need defense and offensive line, so let's take the highest overall defense and offensive line left on the board. I like this pick. I think it's good value.
Oh, yeah, it's great value, and this is actually a good fit. They're going to move him to guard, which I love. That was my thing with him. If he's a guard, I absolutely love him. If he's a tackle, no. He's very clunky and mover and a limited athlete, but similar to the Holland Pierces of the world. He's big, he's long, and he's a great technician. He can move guys. Perfect in a gap system as a guard where you can hide the athleticism. Great anchor as well. This is just an A for me.
And then rounding out the draft with Taj Brooks in the 6th. I really like this. Who's the guy the Rams took?
Hunter.
Yeah, so I didn't love Jarquez Hunter in the 6th as much. They're obviously not a 1-1 comparison. Oh, wow. Well, no wonder I like that pick significantly less. But what I'm trying to get at is I don't really like that for the Rams because he's going to be their RB3, and they already have that guy. The Bengals don't really have that guy because, what's the name of their starter? Chase Brown. Very different skill set from Taj Brooks. Taj Brooks can actually handle not the bulk of the carries, but maybe 40% of them. He's extremely pro-ready, good pass protector. He's not like a giveaway because he can absolutely be on the field on receiving downs. Going to be a big part of their committee in year 1.
Yeah. If you can improve the vision, he'll be a really nice number 2 back. And even if he can't, I think he'll be a really nice number 3. And then the 6th round, that's perfectly fine.
And then for UDFAs, Howard Cross, the rotational defensive lineman out of Notre Dame. William Wagner, the wildly overrated long snapper. He was still my number 2 long snapper. And Seth McLaughlin, the Ohio State center, coming off, an Achilles injury?
Yeah.
Who's I think should be slated to miss some time in the
season. Unfortunately, we'll ring the bell on that. I had him as UDFA.
For another man's severe injury. Yeah. Fair enough.
No, not the injury. I'm sorry. But McLaughlin, hopefully he does well. But going to Cincinnati, also very weird because he's a pure zone guy.
Well, he's a UDFA.
Yeah, I guess so.
What grade did you give the Bengals?
Gave him an A. I love this draft. So this was number 5 on my draft, number 6 on the models.
I think this is either number 4 or number 5. For me, I gave him an A-. All right, we have 2 more drafts to go. We're going to hustle. We got the Ravens, who made 50,000 picks because, of course, Malachi Starks in the 1st, Mike Green in the 2nd, Emory Jones in the 3rd, Teddy Buchanan in the 4th, Carson Vincent in the 5th, and then they just went on a tear in the 6th. Bilal Cohn, Tyler Loop, LeJontay Wester, Aeneas Peebles, Robert Longerbeam, and rounding it out with Garrett Dellinger in the 7th round. A couple of decent UDFAs as well. They did it again with Malachi Starks. He is a Raven. They didn't have to move at all to get him. There was a lot of conversation about who the Ravens were going to take. We all knew it would be unpredictable. It's going to be based on who's there. And the most predictable guy falls right into their lap, frees up that defense. Now they don't have to pigeonhole Kyle Hamilton into a do-everything role. Malachi Starks is an extremely competent day 1 starter who still has some developmental upside. Really nice.
Yeah, he's so good. He can do everything. Now you can play Kyle Hamilton wherever the fuck you want and then put Malachi Starks at the other place wherever the fuck you want. So, Yeah, this is just awesome, and what makes it a better pick is an unfortunate instance, but this does even look better now because Ardarius Washington unfortunately tears his ACL yesterday. He was their other safety, who is, I mean, he's undersized UDFA, but he's just a dog heading towards a good contract. You just absolutely hate to see it. A revelation last year in a bad secondary. Zach Orr using him, but with him hurt, Starks is going to start immediately. And that fills a massive hole now that, like, because everybody else sucked in that safety room. So if Ardarius Washington isn't playing, Starks has to. So that's unfortunately a better pick. Hopefully Washington's able to get back to full form next year.
Rare impact at pick 27. And then Mike Green at number 59. And the value here is exceptional.
Yeah.
And the everything else is not great, especially given the Justin Tucker situation.
I don't know what to think about this pick.
I think I know exactly what to think about this pick. If there's no sexual assault stuff in the future in the NFL, it is going to return a ton of football value for them. If there is, this is going to get very ugly like we have not seen in a long time with an NFL team. Like that would be really bad, and it's honestly pretty bad even if that stuff never does rear its head again. This is a selling your soul to the devil sort of pick. It's fantastic from a value standpoint. It's very rough from an ethical one. It's a bad look.
It's really bad luck because the fact that he did fall this far means that there's merit to those conversations. Because the player, even his harshest haters agree. Yeah, even you agreed he was a 1 through 2.
Yep,
probably should go in the first. I gave this a C because I didn't know what to say about it. I gave it a C because, man, it's an absolute steal of a value. But it absolutely could be an F pick based off the field issues because it's just, if that stuff is indeed true, especially after everything that happened with Justin Tucker this year, you are essentially saying, I just don't care about this. And that's just inexcusable, bro. You can't do that. You cannot. It's inexcusable to employ one of those players, but then you go out there and then you do it again. That just shows incredible insensitivity. And it's just pathetic. Now, we don't know if it's true. We don't know him. We don't know what kind of guy he is. We don't know what happened. So we'll refrain from saying it is true. But the Ravens, even taking that risk right now, I don't know, man. It just seems really bad.
And look, not to overly speculate, because like you said, we obviously don't know the guy and we're not insiders on the situation. The insiders, the reporters that I do really respect that have been correct about things in the past, they portray that this is a lot worse than, say, the Maxwell Hairston situation. That there's just a lot of fire to the smoke there. So we'll see if this comes up again. We hope it never does. That's what we're gonna say about the Mike Green pick. Emory Jones in the 3rd round. Is he a tackle or a guard for them, do you think?
I think he's a tackle just because they put Rosengarten at tackle and he's been good.
Yeah,
He's playing tackle. I'm wrong. I'm
no,
right there.
He's playing tackle.
Yeah. I was for a second. I thought because I saw someone call him the guard the other day, and I was like, no, he's their right tackle. He's similar to Rosengarten, kind of.
I think Jones's play strength is a lot more impressive than
Yes,
Rosengarten.
I agree, but he's just that like body type. I think is a little similar. And yeah, I don't know why I get the same vibes there. Because they're not all the same, but I don't know. I think if they're playing Rosengarten at tackle, they'll play Jones.
I just want to see Jones's hands get better. I mean, he has some ugly losses in pass protection. When his hands get off target in the run game, it also kind of factors him out because he can move guys in a phone booth, but if you're just not getting a good grip, not getting a lot of surface area, it does become a lot harder to move guys. However, the highs are there. This is, I believe, a younger player. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, he's a true junior.
There's some room for him to develop. There's a reason he declared. This is a perfectly solid pick for the Ravens. They're a really good team. They can make luxury picks. They can add to that offensive line pipeline, and I think that this is a pretty smart process.
It's fine process. He was one of those projects I was just a little bit lower on, so I gave it a D+ just because I think the value doesn't align, but I do get it.
I have like a 4 to a 5 on him. It's just I generally like the need and the process behind it, so I'm willing to bump this to like a B-. And then Teddy Buchanan in the 4th round. Who are their linebackers?
Smith, Queen's gone. Simpson?
Yeah,
Smith and Simpson are the 2 big ones.
Okay. As a 3rd linebacker in the 4th round, I'm generally okay with this. We'll see if he can find a year 1 role.
He was fine. C- for this.
And then Carson Vincent, the Alabama A&M offensive tackle,
Didn't
really,
get this one.
really good athlete. His Alabama A&M tape is strong. You wish he was a little bit more dominant. He was absolutely atrocious at the Senior Bowl, which is kind of a funny conversation because when I was listening to like the podcasters talk about him at the Senior Bowl, they were hearing GM say, I don't know if this guy's going to make it out of day 2. And then I saw some of his reps, and it's like, he might be the worst overall player here. So there's going to be a learning curve for Vincent, and he's an athletic developmental prospect. He's dramatically worse Charles Grant.
Yeah, and he's very slim. He technically, like the numbers, his NFL measurables are technically good, but he's very slim, doesn't have much power or strength. He's going to need a lot. He's going to need to do a lot.
It's
and
early.
Man, when he played Auburn, that's the only bit of him I saw. He was just non-factor, really, as trying to move guys. Now, everybody on Alabama A&M was a non-factor against Auburn because it's Auburn. But I would have at least liked to see something. I saw nothing. Technically has starter potential. Technically has positional flexibility. But this is a guy that probably, if he's ever good, it'll be when he's like 29. Which, got 5 solid years. There you go.
And then 6th round speed round, Bilal Cohen, developmental cornerback out of Western Michigan. I actually like that pick quite a bit. That's like a B+ for me.
Didn't see him.
Tyler Loop, kicker punter for Arizona.
Ooh.
He's got some punting action going on in the past. This is the Justin Tucker replacement. I think he was my number 2 kicker. So obviously this is fine process. LeJontay Wester is going to be their punt returner. Is probably why they drafted him. Maybe he can be sort of a twitchy starting slot, but he fights the football among the worst in this class. Aeneas Peebles in the 6th round is fantastic. I'll let you talk about him. And Robert Longerbeam is honestly a dart throw that I think I like even better than Bilal Cohen. This is a really strong group of 6th round picks.
This is so nice. It really is. I don't know how they let him get Peebles.
In the 6th?
Yeah.
Come on, he might be their second best pass rusher in year 1.
Probably he is. Like, from the interior, at least. But Peebles, I'm struggling to find him on my write-up to refresh my memory, but I don't need it. Peebles is a fun athlete who is, he's pretty small, but I don't care. I don't care.
You're not going to play him on rundowns.
No, you're not. He's just a situational pass rusher that, like, I don't really know how to describe him. He's just so unpredictable. Like, he's the definition of never let him know your next move. You just do not know what he's going to do next. There's a lot of stuff he lacks, but there's just people you can't get a hand on him because he does so much stuff that it's probably a stupid decision, but because he did not see it coming, he's not ready for it. So yeah, it works. Like I think I saw him pull a triple spin once. He put the spin, and then spun it again. It's like what? So
he's a Beyblade.
He protected against the spin, but then he does the double spin. You're like, oh my god, now the guard completely oversets because he's never seen a triple spin before. Why would he have any reason to think that there's a triple spin coming? Oversets. Peebles, the 3rd one. Bring it right back around. Sack. That's too easy. I don't think it was a sack, but I think the play was already over, actually.
You should get points just for trying it.
I'm not even sure I'm pretty sure this happened, but
making it up on the spot.
On the spot. No, I'm pretty this did happen. But Peebles, you just don't know what you're watching when you see him. But I know it's an NFL player.
I love it. In the 6th round, go ahead and take
not?
the measurable dart throw.
Yeah, 3rd down and 7. 3rd down and 13. This guy's going to get a few nice sacks.
And then finally, in the 7th round, Garrett Dellinger. I think that's really solid. At 243. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And then they got Jay Higgins as well as Chandler Martin. So, taking some day 3 dart throw caliber linebackers in the UDFA pool. And then Jared Christian Lichtenhan, offensive tackle out of Oregon State. So a very adequate UDFA pool. What did you give the Ravens?
Give him a B-. I love the first pick. I love the 6th round. The 2nd through the 4th round was the 2nd through the 5th round. Mike Green, that's just a disappointing pick from their front office for the reasons that we discussed. And then I just didn't like any of the value in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. So B-. The model dislikes it as well. The model actually gives it 22, but I gave it a 26.
We graded this out differently. I gave him an A-, and I think that 90% of that is because I'm grading it on the football perspective.
I mean, because if I give it the football perspective, let's see how the model likes it. It goes up 11 points in the model.
It's an A+, right?
It's a steal for me, yeah.
11 spots.
Yeah, it goes 11 points. I don't know the spots because I don't really have that ready available. But yeah, it goes up 11 points, which probably puts it in like the top 12.
Okay, yeah, okay. So that is like the entire disparity there. And then finally, gonna round this out with just the weirdest draft in a long time, and that's the Cleveland Browns moving back for Mason Graham. You love that.
Yeah.
Carson Schlesinger in the second round, which unfortunately I think we understand a little bit better there with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah officially done for all of next season. That really sucks.
Just an awesome guy, awesome talent, and you just hate to see it when these so talented players. You're never gonna get to really, probably not gonna see him be at his best ever again.
And then Quinshawn Judkins also in the second round. Harold Fannin and Dylan Gabriel in a really fascinating third. Dylan Sampson in the fourth. And our boy,
Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. That true third-round grade looking pretty good right now, baby. Let's go.
This is the ultimate ring the bell. This is why I bought the bells.
Where do you even start here? You got to start it off at the top with Mason
Yes.
Graham, right? I think that this is excellent.
This is a good process.
Honestly, this isn't an empirical rule I have, but anytime you move back for a haul, picking inside the top 5 and still get a really good player, I am going to love that. I don't think I can give it an A+, surely because I don't think Mason Graham is a top 5 pick in the average draft. If in the average draft he is top 5, it's like
Probably,
he is number
he's probably more
5.
top 8.
But
10.
I think this is an A. I really like it.
I gave it an A too. I loved the Hunter aspect for the Jags. I liked that. That does not mean that I disliked it for the Browns. You're passing on Travis Hunter, yes, but you're also getting 2 first-round picks and basically a first-round pick as well. They got Carson Schlesinger, Mason Graham, and a first-round pick next year, all for the price of Travis Hunter. I think that's okay. I'm willing to do that because Graham is so good and Schlesinger is amazing. So this is a good trade for the Browns, and it's a great pick.
In round 2, I thought that Schlesinger had a realistic chance to go in round 1. I didn't think it would happen, but not overly surprising that he comes off at pick number 33, right after the end of the first round. Who are the Browns' other linebackers besides J.O.K.? Literally nobody's coming to mind immediately.
Oh, they have the guy that used to be in Cincinnati. No. Jordan Hicks, I believe, is still doing things for them.
I think it is Jordan
They have
Hicks.
the former Cincinnati linebacker though. Never mind. They do not employ someone that used to play in Cincinnati. I'm an idiot. No, Jerome Baker, Devin Bush.
That is not a room you want to rely on.
Mohamed Diabate, 2-year ring the bell. I love Diabate 2 years ago. Didn't get drafted, I don't think, but he's starting now. So screw you. He's starting.
Let's go. This is a really good pick. I mean,
Yeah.
Is Schlesinger at the very, very top of the second round elite value? I don't think so. But in this crappy-ass linebacker class where you really only have 3 guys you're looking at as big-time day 1 impacts, I guess 4 if you want to include Chris Paul in that, I think this is really good. They clearly need a starting caliber linebacker. He is their bona fide linebacker of the future. This is a guy who can play in both phases, extremely instinctive in pass coverage. I tend to like him a little bit less than most people in run defense, but I still think he's good there. Probably top 3 in the class. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this is a great pick because my comp for him was Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So,
Perfect.
Yeah, if he's not playing, unfortunately, that sucks. But man, you're getting a guy who I think my high comp is, to be clear, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. When he's playing, he is an all-pro talent in my opinion. There's just not much to say about him. He's a fantastic athlete. He's an exceptional coverage player, and he's an elite processor in the run defense. And he added a lot of weight and still tested incredibly well, which makes me believe that he can be an every down run defender, which makes me think, hey, you could actually be a top 5 to 10 linebacker in football if you can do that.
Very possible.
And that he could absolutely outperform this position. I gave it a B+ just because it's a little high. I had a true 2 on him. I think he was a top 40 player for me, though. So this is a good pick.
And then Quinshawn Judkins at 36. After you lose Nick Chubb, he comes back. He's not the same. I believe he's still unsigned. I hope Nick Chubb can get back to it. The league is so much better with Nick Chubb putting up big numbers. Now you don't have to give Jerome Ford the entire backfield. And you know what? I'm going to ring the bell on this.
I'll get 1 ring out of it.
Judkins was a bona fide my guy. He was my RB3. I did end up revoking the first to a second round grade on him. But for Cleveland of all teams, I think this is fantastic. They needed that bell cow sort of running back, and they got it.
It's very nice. And I think he has, he could be like 90% of Nick Chubb. I think he could do that.
I agree. I mean, 90% of Nick Chubb is like
Really fucking good.
6th or 7th best running back in the NFL. I think that's
Absolutely.
right around where Judkin's ceiling is, and that is a fantastic player.
And it's a nice offensive line for him to run behind as well, because that was a must for Judkins.
And then Harold Fannin in third. Really, really early third, number 67. That's
Baffling.
Yeah, I mean, part of me really likes Fannin. I think he's one of those guys who is a challenging to quantify sort of separator. He's got some nuance. He's got some deception. He really knows how to vary his pace is one thing I noticed because his agility and foot speed, if, for a guy who's producing at like Bowling Green, you want him to be more athletic than he is. But he's got good body control at the catch point. I think he's got very natural hands, at least from what I saw. He's a guy who can win after the catch. He's no David Njoku. I'm curious on what they see in him that they want to take him in the really early third because you have David Njoku. Obviously, they're not going to play the same role, but how much 12 personnel are you planning on running?
I don't know. With Fannin, it's like I don't even think 12 personnel matters because he's not a tight
He's
end.
a wide receiver.
Yeah,
he tries
he's not
as a
wide
blocker.
receiver though. He does, but it's not going to cut it in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's not big enough, nor strong enough, nor technically sound enough to be an inline tight end ever.
Yeah.
And I just don't think he's a good enough route runner or athlete to ever be a big slot either, or a receiver. So what's he going to do? Is he going to be a fullback? If in that case, a fullback, H-back that you kind of move around, big slot, occasionally throw him outside, just gadget player, this is way too early. If you're going to try him at one of those positions, I think it's a bad pick because I think you're taking a massive risk.
Take Willie Lampkin if that's what you want.
Exactly. Take Willie. I would have a higher grade on Willie Lampkin here than I would Harold Fannin.
Fair enough, man.
I had a higher grade on Willie Lampkin was higher on my big court than Fannin. So.
And then Dylan Gabriel in the third round.
It's not that bad of a pick.
No, it's not. Based on what the actual GM of the Cleveland Browns wanted to do, I think this makes some sense. I think it's a little bit of a luxury pick, but you've just gotten piece after piece early on. Mason Graham, Swessinger, Judkins. You still have some picks to spend down the board. You're going to figure out what the running game looks like. You're going to get younger along the offensive line. Defense is going to look better, and Dylan Gabriel is going to be the captain of this not good, but not garbage 2025 Cleveland Browns team. I mean, elite locker room guy. He's going to be a fantastic backup on a rookie contract once you win 5 games and get aggressive for your QB of the future. And then Shedeur Sanders happens, and it turns this from like a B minus pick to like you kind of just wasted a third, is my opinion.
Okay. If you had to bet money, who's the week 1 starter?
Shedeur.
Really?
Yeah. I wouldn't bet a lot on it.
Yeah.
Not at all, but I would bet Shedeur.
It's a tough situation because I think Gabriel's a better player year 1.
Fair enough.
But because he's a lefty, I don't know if you play him because you don't know if he's starting the entire season. So that's the tough
actually
part.
A good point, yeah.
Right? You'd have to design the playbook with the plan that he will start the entire season. And that's a tough thing to do for a guy like him. So I don't know what will happen. He's a great player. He's a my guy. So yeah, let's ring the bell here.
All right.
He was my guy at the QB position. I had a true 4 on him. It seemed like I was higher than everybody else. Then they took him in the 3rd round. What's up? Over Shedeur Sanders. I said that he was probably I said that he had top 3 QB tape in the class, and I meant it. And I think he probably is the best quarterback in that room. Even maybe better than Flacco. I think if I had to bet money, I think Pickett's starting week 1.
Pickett?
Right yeah.
He deserves a shot.
It's like you know what, when the conclave just happened. Most of the time when the popes are selected, there are 2 candidates that are like on opposite ends and people are trying to go for it. And I think that's Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel right now. They're trying to get them both elected, but neither of them want to move. So they have to get a 2/3 vote to elect the pope. So they have to move on a compromise candidate. Enter Kenny Pickett. Not only will Kenny Pickett be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, he will be the new pope by fall.
Look, if you want to put asses in seats,
Like
I'm
Kenny
just
Pickett.
saying, put injured Deshaun Watson out there.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
At least get some catharsis out of this, what's going to be a wasted season.
Cleveland, I beg you, not for your own sake, but for all football fans' sake, run the 2 QB offense. Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders start. Give one half, give one the other.
Hell yeah. Who's the running quarterback in that group?
Dylan Gabriel. No, they both kind of suck at running.
Exactly.
3 quarterbacks. Joe Flacco's the runner.
Bing Bring Dorian Thompson-Robinson back.
Yes.
We finally found a role for you.
There you go.
Dylan Gabriel can do all of the
Oh,
processing and accurate throwing stuff.
It's going to be so fun. I gave the Sanders pick a steal because it's fantastic value. With the fall was it contrary to everybody saying it's inexplicable. It doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
The league sees him as we do. We see him as a replacement level starter or a backup, like a Jacoby Brissett level talent, which is what I thought he was. I'd take that in the late second, early third round with the potential to be an average starter. So that moves him. My grade for him was a true 2. I still liked him as a prospect. League probably saw him more as like, I don't think you're going to be really that much better than Jacoby Brissett. Realistically, that's where you're going to be. And Jacoby Brissett's a good player. We'd take that, pick 70 or so. However, Jacoby Brissett paired with an inane media circus, Jacoby Brissett who thinks he's Patrick Mahomes, Jacoby Brissett who has an annoying father that I have to deal with. I think Deion's to be clear, I like Deion. I think he's a fantastic college head coach. I see why a team wouldn't want to deal with him. I understand that. But everybody's shit talking Deion. I want to make it clear. I like Deion. I think he's a great head coach. Let's stop with that. I get why you don't want him in your locker room. I get why Shooter fell because I don't want a backup that comes with all this baggage. So this makes sense to me. And if the interview stuff is true, I get it.
I'm going to ring the bell one more time just for the fact that,
You
like,
deserve
3
it.
months ago, we were saying that the comp on him is Jacoby Brissett with baggage. So here we go.
Yeah, I think
That
this
felt
is
good.
This is the ultimate ring the bell versus the ultimate anti-ring the bell that we had earlier in the show. This is the ultimate ring the bell.
And then we can't just gloss over Dylan Sampson in the
No.
fourth. I like that a lot.
Solid
You get
pick.
I mean, it's the Thunder and Lightning approach where Quinshon Judkins is going to take the lion's share of the carries, and you just let Sampson slowly develop his vision. He's got the instincts to become a really good home run hitting back. He can do some stuff on receiving downs as well. I think this is nice.
Very nice. I like this pick a lot.
They got like 0 impact UDFAs. I think they're like only the second team in the NFL where I didn't write down a single name. I mean,
Nobody?
anybody who impresses you?
Let's look at the list. Yeah. Don't see many. Jason Ivey instead of Jaden Ivey. Yeah, nobody really comes to mind.
Did they get
Long snapper Brent Matzik.
Ross Madison's brother, Pro Bowl long
There you
snapper,
go.
might be
Oh,
the
I
best
knew
long
that name
snapper in the
somehow.
NFL
Yeah.
right now. I mean, okay, every long snapper sounds like a hockey player.
Yeah.
Like there was like a Josh Wojciechowski from Colorado School of the Mines this year, and it's just like you are the
Play hockey.
premium
Get on
long
the
snapper
ice.
prospect, obviously. So. What grade did you give the Browns? I didn't know what to do with this. Like, I was just staring at it, and it's like, I don't know what this means.
You knocked the first 2 rounds out of the park. Harold Fannin pick was inexplicable. The QB situation's weird. Ultimately, you got 2 good quarterback talents at about the same place where they should have gone or way higher than they should have gone. This is a good draft. They gave it a B+. It's weird draft, so I couldn't give it like an A- or anything, but it's a B+. The model likes it as well. It came in number 15 on mine. The model said it was 9. So that's the difference is the Shooter effect. Like the controversy, all of the weird shit that is going to arise from having that QB instability.
And to officially end the Balls Talk Sports 2025 draft NFL recap, draft grades, I'm giving the Browns a B. I think we view it very similarly, and that's a good way to end. Victor, It's been one hell of a 2025 draft run. I can't wait to get back after it already.
Yeah.
I am already in the mood to watch more tape.
It's been
It never
fun.
stops.
It's been so fun. It's been such a great cycle for those many of you that stuck with us through the cycle. Thank you very much. We've enjoyed bringing you the draft. Stick around, though, because summer is going to be fun. We're going to be doing some really, really cool stuff. We got a whole lot of plans, and I think you guys are going to very much enjoy it. But the draft coverage is over, which means it's NFL season. And actually, today's May 14th. It's kind of the perfect time to end our draft coverage because the schedule came out today, or it comes out later today.
Comes out later,
yeah. Comes out later today. So I know both, whenever we have the time, we're going to look at that schedule, make a first impression. Probably not on air, but sometime soon we'll give you our first impression of the schedule. So watch out for that. Watch out for a lot of good summer content. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, you'll love when a good plan comes together. Ladies and gentlemen, the NFL draft may be over. But as always, stay hard.